Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be back on the new. I'm glad you're here too. Glad to see all your beautiful faces. I was taking a bit of a hiatus, but I'm back and I'm ready to share what the Lord put in my heart. I'm going to get right into it. This word may be really controversial, but that's okay, right? Because the truth will set you free. Before we even get into the actual word, the Lord has asked me to teach. He says to teach. So there's something that I'm going to talk about for a couple of minutes, but it will definitely make sense to the prophecy that the Lord gave me, and it's a dream. We'll get into that, definitely. But if you want to skip this part, you can skip down to this time, here, I don't know. And you can go right to the dream and to the prophecy. However, please, I advise you and I really suggest that you just stay just for a little while, just to hear a little bit what the Lord has put in my heart to teach to Black women and also to Black men, or just to anybody in general. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, this is the lesson that the Lord showed me. A lot of people think that there is no such thing as a gender spectrum. And this is what a lot of Christians may believe, right? Because the gender spectrum has been pushed in college. I remember being in college and learning about all that stuff. And this is how the trans movement, when it came about, and saying that there's really no difference between male and female because gender is a spectrum, all this stuff. Maybe about a year or so, I felt like, I didn't know it was the Lord at the time, but he's impressing in my heart that the gender spectrum is real, but it's just not what the people are, I guess, mainstream media, what they call, how they say it is, okay? And so after this dream, immediately after this dream, when I woke up, the Lord gave me a vision and then also was explaining all these different things about the gender spectrum, okay? So just stay with me. So look at the screen, okay? This is how I saw it in my mind, okay? So you have the masculine and you have the feminine. To be honest, I'm not sure what side you're gonna see it in, if you're gonna see it in the left or the right, but I'm just gonna be looking at this notebook. That's how I drew it. But you get to see the better version. The masculine side is on the left-hand side, feminine is on the right hand, okay? In the middle, there's a huge line, or a strict line, and this is what the mainstream media, what they say the gender spectrum is, that there is no line, right? And you could just go all across the board if you want to. You could start off and, all the way in the feminine and go all the way back and be male and be female and all the stuff like that, right? But there's a line here because the Lord put that there. And so you're not supposed to jump over and skip over to different spaces, okay? You're masculine, you're man, you're feminine, you're female. Masculine protects, provides, and exposes. The feminine heals, conceals, and nurtures. Now, both of them, in a way, do the same thing, but just in different forms. When a woman has a child and a bear comes or something, she is not going to all of a sudden forsake her masculine traits to protect her child because she's a feminine woman. You understand? This isn't to be silly as to say that a masculine man can't hold and be soft to his own child, to his baby, because we all have both masculine and feminine traits. However, it's going to be portrayed in such a different way, especially if you are balanced and in your feminine or in your masculine, okay? So a masculine woman should not act the same as a masculine man, if you can get what I'm saying. And I will also leave a link below to one of my favorite YouTubers, and she talks about a woman being in her feminine, and you should definitely watch that. And also another a really good speaker, a man, Jason, I can't think of his last name, Jason something, but he also talks about just masculinity and just the balance of that and the healthy masculinity, and then she talks about the healthy femininity. I will definitely put that down below if you want to learn more about that. Back to the gender spectrum. So let's start with the feminine, because ladies first, right? So let's start with the feminine. So you see on the very, very far right side, you have a very, very light pink color. This is a type of woman that is like a doll baby almost. Very high maintenance. And she was given too much masculine energy and was spoiled. This type of woman is overly sensitive and entitled. And this type of woman is the type of woman that almost like they can't do anything. They always need a man. They always need someone to help them. This is similar to the old classical Disney movies, like a Snow White movie, or like Cinderella wasn't bad, but like a Snow White movie, something like that, where they can't do anything, okay? They can't even run, like they can't fight for themselves, they can't do nothing. And then if we go to the right side, the far right side of the far left side, I don't know my directions. The far left side is the dark red. We go over to that type of woman. Now that type of woman is closer to the masculine. So this is the most masculine type of woman that you can have. This is not someone who is transgendered or someone who is trying to be a man. This is a woman who wants to act like a woman, but she has very masculine energy, okay? And that's because she's very close to that line. She's at the line. And so this type of woman is like a macho woman, okay? She lacks the masculine energy as a child, and most likely she's probably the product of a single mother. Once again, we're talking a lot about black women here, black women and black men, okay? This can be any type of people, but when I'm talking about this, I'm mainly talking about black people, okay? She lacked masculine energy as a child, so most likely the product of a single mother. She cannot submit. She's bossy. She's has a provider mentality. She's dominant, aggressive, mostly by trauma. But at the same time, she's also offended easily. Lastly, about this woman is that she's most likely provocative and raunchy. I don't know if you know this, but we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but being provocative and showing oneself, especially sexually, is actually a masculine trait. When women are exposing themselves, you are acting in your masculinity. Remember what I said about the masculine. The masculine protects, provides, and exposes. What does the feminine do? Heals, nurtures, and conceals. So when you're dressing very provocative, that type of garment was, number one, created by the masculine, and it was created for the masculine. The feminine energy does not show all of oneself. It understands the beauty and the honor and the respect of being hidden. Some of the most beautiful things are actually hidden. And so this macho woman is the type of woman that you hear a lot that's saying, I don't need a man. I'm pretty sure we've heard that so many times, especially a strong, independent black woman. My goodness. That is a macho woman. Now, before you get offended and want to click off, please just keep listening. And I promise you, it will all make sense once you hear the prophecy that the Lord has given me and all this stuff the Lord has given me too. So if you're offended, good. Keep listening. Let's go back to our diagram. And so now we're on the masculine side. Okay, so let's get to the masculine side. So you see that there's two dots, one at the far end and one towards the middle. On the one side, you have a very dark blue. So let's start with that. So this type of man is the macho mismo man, okay? This man lacked the feminine energy as a child. So perhaps his mother wasn't as involved. He didn't really see a respectable woman too much in his life to appreciate the feminine, okay? And so he could be very misogynistic, even if it's unconsciously. And he's also very offended easily too. And so this masculine man thinks of women as just items. Women just need to be in the kitchen type of mindset, if you will. That's how they think. Women aren't meant to be anything else but just items, as something for me, a plaything for me. They can be promiscuous too, but their need for promiscuity is to conquer women. Okay, and this is going to make sense when we get over to the light blue side. Go to light blue. This type of man is a feminine man. And no, not the men that I'm saying are maybe metrosexuals. I don't know if that definition changed, but when I was younger, metrosexual just meant that it was just a man who just took care of himself. Now it might mean something different. I don't know, so don't quote me. But this type of man is not the type of man. He's not a man that wants to be a woman. I'm not talking about them, okay? This is a man who wants to be a man, but he's acting in his feminine. He's acting in a feminine energy, okay? And so you may have men like this who are very, very soft, who probably don't stick up for themselves. They can't protect anyone. They're not providers. And, those are the very obvious ones. But there are some that are actually kind of hard to catch. And this is where the Lord starts really talking about it more. And so they most likely lacked the masculine energy as a child. So most likely these are the products of single mothers too. Okay. And I know some people might hate me, but a lot of men that are acting in this feminine energy are actually some people that are probably in a red pill community. And I'm not saying the red pill community who are actually healthy and they just want to do better for themselves. I'm talking about the ones that were following Kevin Samuels faithfully, and being very, very loyal to Kevin Samuels. Those are the type of men that most likely are acting in their feminine energy. And the Lord said something that was so poignant. He said to me, this type of man disguises himself as a masculine man. He thinks he's masculine, but he is not. He's actually acting in his feminine. Here's why. This type of man is very sensitive. And I'm not talking about sensitive as in he likes to talk about his emotions. He's very nice and nurturing to his children. I'm not talking about sensitive like that. Sensitive as in he gets offended very easily. Okay? And he never takes accountability. This man never takes accountability. It's always the woman's fault. It's always the black woman's fault. Why are there single mothers? It's black women. Black women keep choosing the wrong. It's black women. They always point the finger. They never take responsibility for anything. Okay? Another thing too about this man is that he's also very promiscuous, just like the macho mismo man. However, the reason why he's promiscuous is to reclaim his masculinity. The macho mismo man is promiscuous because he wants to conquer women. The feminine man is promiscuous because he wants to reclaim his masculinity. He's trying to be masculine, so he does that by having sex with so many other women. And that's what helps boost his own ego to make him think that he is a man. Now, a lot of these men have also gone through trauma, just like the macho woman. And another thing about this feminine man, he looks to the macho mismo man for guidance. He looks over to the other side to try and emulate that. And the Lord said to me that this type of man is very charming. And they know how to speak to women. Why? Because one, they're probably a product of a single mother, so they've been around women a lot. And number two, they're so close to the feminine line that they know how to woo and sway. And it's like that game that a lot of black men have. It's like that game. They're able to use their words. They could talk a butterfly out of its wings. They are very, very feminine in that way of wooing a woman and luring her in. Now, I'm not talking about just a poet or a singer. That's not what I'm saying because, those are gifts. And so all of these groups of men and women that I just explained, they're all toxic. Toxic femininity, toxic masculinity. Why? Because they're all on the opposite sides of the spectrum. What is also interesting to note is that the feminine man usually competes with the macho woman. And the macho woman usually competes with the feminine man. Once again, let's look at that black community. Many times, if you hear a black man never being able to give a black woman her props or just kind of gets iffy or offended when a black woman is really doing well, seems like he's actually competing with her. But a man should not be competing with a woman. He should be competing with the men that he's with, not a woman. But because he's a feminine man, he's so much closer to her on the spectrum. Same thing with the macho woman, with a woman who's always trying to do better than men, always trying to outdo them, things like that. You shouldn't be competing and comparing yourself to men. You are a woman. Be a woman. Look at the diagram again, and you see the stars. This is the balance. The star on the feminine side is a balanced woman. The star on the masculine side is a balanced man. And for their traits, they're very simple. These people are healed and they're free. And the Lord has taught them what it means to be masculine or feminine. For masculine side, the Lord has taught them how to protect, how to provide, and how to expose the way that Jesus did. For the feminine, the Lord has taught her how to heal, how to nurture, and how to conceal like Jesus did. These traits are the same traits that our Lord Almighty has, because He is the one that transcends gender. He's above it all, and He has every single traits that we don't even know exist, because He's just bigger than our mind can fathom. So He has all these traits, and He's given them to each of us. He's given the women certain traits. He's given the men certain traits, and we're supposed to come together like a puzzle piece. But society and the world now is trying to take that away from us. And we have so many men and women who are not balanced. There are so many, especially we're going back to the Black community, so many Black women operate as a macho woman. So many Black men operate as a feminine man. And that's why it's not working right. It's not coming together. If you look back at the chart, we see these different groups of men and women, feminine and masculine energies. The macho woman, a lot of times, especially now, the modern day woman, which is really turning into a macho woman, she usually, she desires a balanced man or someone in the middle of a macho mismo man. That's usually what they desire. They don't want a super feminine man who can't protect them and things like that, right? They don't want that. However, the macho man is not interested in a macho woman. And a balanced man sure ain't interested in a macho woman. Then we have the feminine man, super feminine. He doesn't want a macho woman. He wants someone who's balanced, right? He wants someone who's very feminine. But those group of women do not want a feminine man. I put dots and arrows around the places where we as people of God, as Black men and women in general, need to be at that balance. And when we connect, that is the beautiful structure of relationship that the Lord has created. A balanced, free, and healed woman with a balanced, free, and healed man. They don't want anything else. A balanced woman and healed woman does not want a feminine man. I can speak for that myself. And the reason why I can talk about this is because the Lord has given me wisdom and shown me a lot of things through my own experiences. I used to be closer to the macho woman, but the Lord has healed me and took me a lot of different places in my own life and gone through some trauma and things I've gone through. And now I am, if I'm not completely balanced, I'm definitely a lot closer. Okay. Praise the Lord. And being a balanced woman doesn't mean you have to look like me. It doesn't mean that you have to wear dresses all the time and talk softly. And that's not what it means. This is a mindset and this is a heart posture. And the Lord will show you how to act it out. So back to what I was saying. A balanced woman, like myself, does not want a feminine man. I don't want a man who can't take responsibility. I don't want a man who always blames me for things or blames Black women for things, who's overly sensitive, who's just really a talker, not really a go-getter, who can't really provide for me, can't protect me. I also don't want a man who is extremely masculine, like a macho mismo man, and who's doesn't want to be with me, but wants to dominate me. That type of man won't understand my calling. He won't understand my purpose that the Lord has put on me. He won't understand the mantle because he wants to have the spotlight. He wants to be the one to run things. And that type of man most likely isn't even submitted to God. And that's a big one. I want a man who is balanced like me, who is healed like me, who is free like me, who knows how to protect, to provide, and exposes things that need to be exposed. He corrects. He is the type of man that follows the Lord and submits to the Lord and will love me like Christ loved the church, right? This type of man is a leader and not a follower. This type of man knows how to, even when times come, to humble himself even before me as his wife. So this is the type of man that a balanced woman wants. And a balanced man does not want a macho woman. A balanced man does not want a doll baby to take care of because she can't even do anything herself. She's so entitled, so spoiled. He doesn't want that. He wants a woman that is free and healed like he is and understands how to submit in the godly order of things, understands how to be responsible, understands how to follow the vision, understands how to build with him. He wants that type of woman to nurture their children. He wants a virtuous woman, a woman who can be about her business, but still be home in time to cook. And I'm not saying a woman that's super stressed out, right? Because that could be a lot, but it's a certain type of mindset and that heart posture of being a Proverbs 31 woman, being a wise woman, not a foolish woman, a woman that can walk alongside him. He's looking for his helpmeet. This is Adam, and Adam is looking for Eve, his rib. The macho man, the feminine man are not the Adam that we see in Genesis. And the macho woman and the doll baby woman is not the Eve that we see in Genesis. Those are products of toxic doctrines and doctrines of devils and trauma.